solo Jeep video, I suppose. Been dealing with a lot of this lately. So this thing has literally been encased in a frozen cocoon that is the car cover. But I've been acquiring parts, and I finally had a sunny day, so let's talk about a little bit that I've been working on today. Should be pretty obvious what is different here. One of these things is not like the other. So I ended up getting a new carburetor, and there's the data on it. If you look, it looks an awful lot like the old carburetor. Now, this is the original Carter that I've rebuilt twice and been working on. A couple of issues with this guy, and the reason why it got replaced. This, it's obviously cold, and this thing, someone gutted the choke and installed a manual choke at one point. I found the kit online that I believe is actually this kit. Unfortunately, looking at that kit, a lot of the parts are missing. So the cable and stuff is here. That runs up into the cab. But all the attachment parts are missing. There's supposed to be a little lever arm here. And also the high idle linkage that goes in here. I think if you look on this new carb, there's high idle linkage in there, and what that does is that when the choke closes, it keeps the engine idled up, which is great when it's cold. So not only does the choke not function automatically, the high idle linkage is missing, so it doesn't do high idle. And on top of that, you probably can't see it, but there's a ton of play in the shaft that goes through there. So it's a big vacuum leak. This poor thing, it needs a full rebuild. It needs to be sleeved, and I either need to find the original choke system for it or convert it to electric choke. But I didn't want to do that knowing that all of this was worn out and the high idle stuff. Now these things are about $300 if you can find an official Jeep, like made in USA, original Carter. This one, as you might imagine, is not an actual Carter. It is, shall we say, imported. It was off eBay. It's about $70 shipped. And it works great. This is actually not for a Jeep. It is for a Ford 4.9 six-cylinder, 300 cubic inch. And there are a couple of differences. Notably, the vacuum ports are a little different. The fuel inlet is on this side. The original Carter, as you can tell, is more towards that side. This has a return, but it's not been plumbed. It's still cast. It's not drilled. There's a fresh air, I'm guessing fresh air vacuum fitting up here, which is not on the original. And then there's only one vacuum port down here instead of the two that they had on the Carter. That would have hooked up to this thing in a past life, but it's been expertly plugged, and I only need the one vacuum port to run the vacuum advance to my distributor. So everything bolted right up. Aside from the vacuum ports being different, this being different, this is the bung out of the original one, so it bolted right in, threaded right in. It's the same size. The spacing is fine. It does come with new gaskets. I did not install them because these are brand new, and I wanted to bolt it up and make sure it would work so I could get some, get some feedback on the eBay seller. Attachment points, that would have been for something on the Ford. I don't know. Not Jeep related. The choke heater tube, choke stove tube, whatever you want to call it, is different. This is a female adapter on this one, and the original Carter was male. And this is I pinched it off so it wouldn't be a vacuum leak, but you can see that screws on. The new one is opposite of that, so I'm gonna have to go to O'Reilly's or somewhere and get the male portion of that. I'll have to put a bubble flare on a tube, put it in there. Only other problem is, notice that bolt down in there? That one down there. That is where the heater tube is supposed to come out, right there. There's a matching hole in the bottom of the manifold back in there. It was just running, so I'm not going to burn myself to touch it, but it's back up behind the flapper valve thing there. I tried to put some brake tubing in there, which is the same thing. This is copper, but I still have some of this steel brake line left over. It's the same diameter. And I tried to put that in there, but unfortunately that tube, or that passage, still has part of the original tube in it. And it's not sticking out of the bottom, it's not sticking out of the top. So it's in there, I can't get it out. So I need a new exhaust manifold anyway. You can see there's a, I don't know if you can see, there's a crack in it right there. That's coming loose. You know, I've known that since the beginning, but my plan was to reuse that and just hook it up and have a functional automatic choke. Change of plan, I'm gonna get the fitting for that, and I'm gonna just run the tubing down into here and make sure it gets good contact with the manifold to get it nice and hot. And the point of that is that as that thing's running, this is connected to vacuum. So there's a little piston inside of here, along with the spring and everything else. When the choke is closed, the piston is up and it exposes that port to vacuum. Again, this is my understanding of it. I could be completely wrong, but I'm going with it. So that pulls air, sucks air in there. It sucks it straight into the engine. So right now it's just pulling cold air. I mean, it's 40 degrees outside right now. But so the choke doesn't turn off. But if you, the idea is that if it runs through the exhaust manifold, that cylinder's I think 4 and 5, something like that, 3 and 4. Then right in the exhaust flow, as the air gets pulled through, it heats the air up, and the hotter the engine gets, that spring eventually opens and it shuts off the vacuum. So then the choke is at that point wide open, and you're golden. So what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to run it down. I've seen other people do this, and now I see why. You just run it down and make sure it has plenty of contact point with the manifold, and then poke it out back here somewhere or up here, and clamp it to it with a C-clamp or one of the, you know, not exhaust clamps. These things, the hose clamps. So the tube still heats up with the exhaust system, heating the air, closing the choke, or rather opening the choke. Choke's closed now, but it opens it. So yeah, still got that to do. The last little funky bit, that linkage right there, you can see the old and the new. There's the shiny new, and then there's the old. So the Jeep actually pulls the throttle that way, but the throttle wants to go that way. And there you go, see the, just closed. That the old Carb wouldn't do that because that linkage was missing. That thankfully bolts on. You can see the bolt there and another one up there. That bolted onto the factory linkage for the Ford carburetor. The Jeep carburetor was set up the same way. You can see where it came off of there. That bolt hole there, that one there. So thankfully that was the only big difference, and I was able to get the bolts out. And now that works. Everything works as it should. The idle's a little bit high, and because this is just pulling cold air and this fan running full time makes it even worse. The choke never, it'll get to about there, but it'll never actually open. So the thing's running insanely rich, sputtering, black smoke, you know, the whole mess here. The idle mixture was already set to the roughly 2.5 turns out, that Jeep says, so that was fine. The idle's a little high. If you hold the choke all the way open after it warms up, the idle comes up. It's pretty high, so I need to turn that down. But the high idle worked great. This carb was completely empty. I bolted it on, got everything set up, and it cranked for about 15 seconds. I cranked it for about 10 seconds to fill the filter in the bowl, and then hit the key again, and it fired right up. So straight out of the box, the adjustments were pretty good. Time will tell how it holds up, but you know, no more vacuum leaking around the throttle, or butterfly, the throttle body. And the good news is these pieces do come apart. So in theory, you know, if you wanted to rebuild the original carburetor, you could get another base plate and then put the old carburetor back on top of it. If I wanted to kind of go back to that factory carburetor. which I don't really care, to be honest. I just want it to run, and being that it's been in the teens the last 2 weeks, I've noticed that it won't start. It just doesn't. It doesn't like the cold weather. And now with this, it fired right up. And the last little bit is that I've got a CJ air cleaner here that I picked up and refurbished. And that fits right on there. It bolted onto the old Carter. It fits right onto the new one. No problems at all. And that's just got a regular, air filter in it. Nothing special. Found this on eBay for like 75 bucks. Painted it and knocked some dents out of it. You've probably seen it in other videos, but I don't think I ever mentioned it. That's where that came from. It's off of like a 78 or something CJ5. It's really hard to find air cleaners for the 1 barrels that'll fit. Aftermarket ones. And I got lucky and found that one. So that's it. Like I said, got a lot of new parts for this thing. Got a new steering box. Got a tachometer for it that I want to install, just to have in there. A little bitty one, the smallest one I could find, but something like that. And a bunch of other bits and pieces here and there. But this was a big one. The steering box is going to be a big one. And I wanted to kind of show you guys that still kicking, not dead. Just really cold and running behind, I suppose. But yeah, so I mean, all in all, not bad for 70 or so dollars. It's got some extra attachment points on here that probably would have been for something on the Ford engine. So if you ever wanted to, if you needed to put something up there, needed a place to mount it, you have that option now. I don't know what you do with it, but whatever, options, right? And I'm gonna hold on to this old one. I want to kind of get some time with this one, get it dialed in and drive it a bit as soon as the roads aren't covered in salt. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'll get you guys some feedback on it if you're interested. Just go on eBay and look up I think it was Carter YF. That's what I typed in, and these came up on eBay again. For that model, they were about 70 bucks shipped. Came here super quick, even despite shipping delays. Right now, it still got here within a couple of days. And if you want to know the link or something, just I can put it in the comments or in the description, or you can ask. I'll drop it in a comment or something if you want to see the link to this specific one. But good selection, like I said, not original, not made in the old USA, but for 70 bucks, it proves a theory. And if it'll get the Jeep under its own power again without leaking gas everywhere and massive vacuum leaks, and that's a good start. And I still got the original here if I ever decide to rebuild it. So that's it. I said once we get some more warm days and I can actually get under here. Now this is all frozen solid ice now after a week of being below zero, or not below zero, below freezing, low teens. Yeah, I'm gonna work on that steering box next and see what happens there. So thanks for watching, and yeah, keep working on Jeeps.